Once again, a very good evening to all of you, and I hope you were able to reach the venue comfortably and without any issues. At the outset, I will like to thank Dr. Nisha for agreeing to come and deliver the talk today, and I'm sure we all will get enlightened with the thoughts that she is going to put forward in front of us today. Before we move forward, I would like to invite our respected Dr. Praveen is here, or Anilji, to felicitate Dr. Nisha with a bouquet and welcome her to come abroad. Please. Sorry. Thank you so much, ma'am. Welcome. And next in line, just one thought as I do it before I do every such gathering, before I address every such gathering. Again, a simple question. Any thoughts that why did we keep the name as Must and More? Because I'm sure you would have observed that this is a different kind of a name for a diagnostic center or a hospital or a healthcare provider, so to say. Any thoughts on the fact that why did we keep the name as Must and More? Ma'am? Any idea? Any guesses? Why did we keep the name as Must and More?
You thought that you will start with essentials and then increase facilities.
Yes. Yes. So say we start with the essentials and then increase the facilities as we move forward. Very good thought on that. Anything else? Anything else?
Well, the investigation is are not focusing to them, and I thought you have decided to deliver more than 30 aspects of the other side. So you combine the two roles, more from the part of the doctor and more on the.
Well said, sir. Thank you so much for that thought. And sir says that we have decided that apart from the must parts that are to be done, we have decided to give more to the clinicians, to the patients, to everybody who who is associated with us. So yes, sir, we agree with you, and thank you so much for that point. I will, the fact is that all medical service providers are there to have to maintain basic hygiene factors in delivering the basic report, basic quality of report, so that the clinical diagnosis is able to be made. But at the same time, our USP or our differentiator is being more. We say good health and good hygiene or good hygiene factors, good reports are a must. But we are in the business or we are in the profession of giving more. So we do more, we give more, and hence we get more from the hands of God. That's what the principle of which we move. We also say that, like we say, health is a must, but happiness is more. Good food is a must, but healthy food is more. Similarly, smiling is a must, but laughing is more. So everything is based on the concept of more. And just to give you a small introduction, Must and More is a proposed chain of premium diagnostic centers which is promoted by a radiology giant, Satyakiran Healthcare, having 24 diagnostic centers across 5 states already, which is headed by our Managing Director Dr. Mahesh Gupta, who is a radiologist himself. And the second biggest promoter is Bachpan Schools. I am sure everybody has heard of it. Bachpan Play Schools. That is our second biggest promoter, which is headed by our Executive Director, Mr. Ajay Gupta. We started in June 2013, and today we have already 3 centers. One is Must and More Rohini, the second center is Must and More Naglohi, and the third place that we are operating is MGS Hospital in Jamibad. The radiology is operated by us. We are also operating Bhagwan Mahavir Hospital next to Saroj Hospital in terms of radiology, whatever we can small that we have. And we have already acquired the new space, and the next Must and More center would be up at New Local Road next to Liberty Cinema in June 2015. So we've already gone to that level. What we propose is to build close to 50 to 60 centers in the next 3 to 4 years to come. And we wish to change the paradigm in the diagnostic services we are here to change the overall industry per se, the overall overview by which a diagnostic center is seen. And at the cost of repetition, I have the best of locations, I have the biggest space. I am sitting at 40,000 square feet of area, which I'll take you around once I finish the session with that. And best of people working with us. But I humbly submit that is not my USP. My unique selling proposition to all of you is customer delight. What I believe is in that everybody who walks into my center and walks out should be at least feeling that warmth and should have a clinical diagnosis in his hand that yes, I went to a diagnostic center and I got a diagnosis and I was not cheated. That is the most important thing that I want to deliver at this point in time. And we are committed to it and we will serve you, and rest assured the kind of dedication and commitment that we have, we will definitely change the paradigm of the whole situation. Before we proceed, I would once again have some of my very revered senior people amongst me. Dr. H. Gupta is also a board member. So I would request you to kindly come forward and felicitate man with a small trophy before we come, please. Sir, please. Ma'am, please, can you please come over? And I would request Dr. Praveen, who is also one of our management partners. Ma'am, thank you so much for coming over and giving us this opportunity. Before taking much of the time, I would request ma'am to kindly, I'll hand it over to ma'am and we'll talk about polycystic.
First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Chawla for inviting me here and all the owners and organizers of Must&More. So the thing is, like, this is the hospital I'm working since its inception, since 1996. PCOS, why I kept this talk for this gathering. Basically, the thing is, the PCOS is increasing day by day. Like, we had an ideal conference recently, and Dr. Albert actually rightly said, few years back, when we practiced, every third patient goes for MTT. Unusual lots of evacuations and MTTs, and right now, every third patient is of infertility. And we are getting younger and younger girls with the problems of PCOD. So this is the top. This is the most common endocrine disorder in women, affecting 5 to 10% of women of reproductive age. And among infertile women, its prevalence is 15 to 20%. This is a world over scenario, and in this scenario, it is much more because of the genetic predisposition. Etiology of the disease still remains unclear. Few suggest autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive disease, X-linked, few say otherwise autosomal, so there is no consensus about its etiology. So it has a long prodrome with detectable abnormalities that present as metabolic syndrome, considerable heterogeneity in signs and symptoms among women, and these may change over a period of time. So what is polycystic ovarian syndrome? Like, we always get used to calling it polycystic ovarian disease. This is not a disease, this is a syndrome, a symptom complex, endocrine disorder. So polycystic ovarian syndrome, clinically manifested in young women of reproductive age, is ovulation, anovulation, biochemical or clinical hyperandrogenism, and polycystic ovaries. So there are different criteria for diagnosis. There was different consensus reached as regarding its diagnosis. NIH criteria 1990, then National Hospital criteria, and there was this Androgen Society criteria in 2006. But we as gynecologists and all fertility specialists, we go by HT or Rotterdam criteria, which was driven in 2003. So if your PCOS could be defined when at least 2 of the following 3 features are present. Sorry. Yeah. So either oligomenorrhea and or anovulation, hyperandrogenism or hyperandrogenemia, and polycystic ovarian picture by sonography. Any 2 of these 3 exist, we call this as PCOS. So what do we see in ultrasound? In ultrasound, 7 or more follicles up to 9 millimeter size, not more than not more than 9 millimeter in diameter, and increased swelling volume more than 10 centimeters. Right? It was previously, but now the consensus is reached for 5.5 to 7. Different people say different variants, but more than 5.5 to 7 cubic centimeter volume is considered as PCOS. If there is a follicle more than 10 millimeter in diameter, this is to be noted. The scan should be repeated at the time of ovulation, that is post-menstrual. In the presence of a single PCO, it is sufficient to say like this. The pair we see one ovary having a polycystic ovarian pattern and another normal. So that is still considered as PCOS, and the distribution of follicle and distribution of the stroma are not required for this diagnosis. So this is how beautifully looks a normal ovary and a polycystic ovary. Now there is a variety where we get multicystic ovaries. Nobody has talked about it, but this is something to get in mind. There are polycystic ovaries and multicystic ovaries. They both are bilateral, they have multiple cells, but the stroma is increased in polycystic ovaries, and in multicystic ovaries, stroma is not increased and the diameter of cyst is more than 10. So again, it should be differentiated because in this multicystic ovaries, this patient won't have any other symptom except the cyst. This incidental finding, these patients should not be labeled as PCOS. So how are the clinical manifestations? Menstrual disturbances, first oligomenorrhea, amenorrhea, prolonged erratic menstrual bleeding, then comes hirsutism. This 92% of HSH women have PCOS, and 3/4 of women with acne have PCOS. So this is very important for general physicians and all the skin specialists where the patient goes first for the treatment. Then if they have any such patient, they should go over for PCOS. Whereas severe signs of virilization like clitoris, deepening of voice, rapid onset of hirsutism, and androgen-producing tumor should be excluded in these patients. Now, these patients, if they get pregnant, also they have infertility problem. If they get pregnant, they have increased chances of miscarriages. Why? Because there is high level of LH which causes these miscarriages, so they have to be corrected before subjecting the patient to infertility treatment. Metabolic symptomatology is very common. 50% of patients insulin resistance. 80% of obese patients have insulin resistance. Whereas you say normal weight PCOS also have insulin resistance. So they should be diagnosed on those lines. 30 to 40% of those patients are insulin resistant. Echinocystis, this is feather pigmented area in the neck and axilla. And there are increased risk of developing diabetes mellitus type 2 and later on MI. So these are the symptoms. The patient presents acne, can be on the back, face, neck, and these are the symptoms. So these are the patients with hyperandrogenemia and hirsutism. This is we call a male type of baldness. Male type of baldness is an occipital lesion, whereas in females it presents in breast area. There is verification of hair. So this is again due to androgen axis. Obesity. Coming to etiology again, like you say X-linked, you say autosomal, but more of it has ethnic predisposition. Like in India, we have lots of patients with diabetes mellitus type 2. Because of genetic predisposition, therefore we have more patients of PCOS. The pathology is microscopic, including nose. Pathogenesis, insulin resistance plays a part. Hyperandrogenism and genetic coding. So, what is the basic pathology? It is caused by abnormally increased secretion of LH, insulin, either or both of them. But they are interrelated. So, increased levels of these hormones stimulate ovarian peak and stroma to produce excess quantities of androgen, including testosterone and androstenedione. We say insulin resistance. But in the effect of insulin, under the influence of insulin only, ovaries produce excess of androgens and they will produce lesser amount of SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin. So nobody knows why muscles and adipose tissues are not sensitive to insulin resistance, whereas ovaries and liver are sensitive. They produce these things under the effect of increased insulin. So elevated ovarian androgen secretion tends to block the growth of dominant follicle and many small follicles accumulate. So in the absence of does not happen and is elevated, persistently elevated high level of LH, and therefore if there is no LH surge, there is no ovulation. So women with PCOS show an abnormal increase in both the amplitude and frequency of LH pulses. The underlying increase in frequency of GnRH secretion by hypothalamus as well. Insulin resistance in women with PCOS has many possible causes, genetic mutation, insulin receptors, autoantibodies to insulin receptors, and so on. It results in compensatory and chronic hypersecretion of insulin. Yet, like we do not know why muscles and fat are insulin resistant and rest of the tissues are not insulin resistant. Insulin stimulates ovarian androgen secretion directly by binding to insulin-like growth factor 1 receptor in the theca and stoma of the ovary. So this basic pathophysiology like increased LH secretion, decreased FS secretion on the ovary, there follicle growth, chronic anovulation, and hyperandrogenism under the influence of increased insulin, which causes acne alopecia, and insulin resistance causes obesity, and there is extracellular aromatization, thereby increased testosterone and decreased production of SHBG by liver, causing increased free testosterone circulation into the blood. Now the same, like this again, same with hypothalamus, anterior lobar hypothalamus.